All right, we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the series of lives that happen every Friday at 2 p.m. Okay. And in these lives, we talk about strategies to help real estate investors. Let me introduce myself. My name is Adam Levine. I'm a private lender, been private lending for over a decade. And we have many different loan programs, and we show investors how they could, we lend. We oftentimes do give gap funding with our fix and flip loans, but this is another strategy that really helps you scale up. We have the pleasure of having Joe Lawrence, CEO of Business Credit Workshop. He's joining us. He's going to basically go over how you could utilize business credit, how to build business credit, how you can utilize unsecured credit to buy real estate. So you don't have to go talk to that expensive gator lender that's going to provide gap funding. Look, there's always a purpose for that, but the cheaper route is an unsecured business line of credit. And I want to pass it off to you, Joe. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. Appreciate it. So yeah, like you're saying, there's a lot of opportunities out there with local community banks, and I call them backyard bankers, where they offer business lines of credit and business credit cards. So we were talking before we started about like Citizens Bank here in New Jersey, Wells Fargo is nationwide. These are examples of banks that offer business lines of credit at pretty competitive rates, and you don't need an appraisal just to get that funding, right? So how cool would it be if you had 100 or 200, or even some of my students have 500 and more of business lines of credit that you can quickly pull to do deals. You can use it for down payment money. You can do it as for marketing, construction draws, whatever it is. And even though there's sometimes a need for other products, private products or gator funding, that to me is if you didn't have time to prepare. So what I'm going to share with you, it takes a little bit of work. There's going to be a little bit of effort behind it, but now you have something forever for the rest of your business that you can use as you see fit. So I'm going to go step by step on the steps you need to take. I will do some screen sharing. I have PowerPoint. We'll go back and forth. It doesn't have to be too formal, but the idea is to get you guys as much funding as you possibly can so you can do more deals. And you can, in reality, do kind of what I did. I bought 14 cash flowing properties with no money out of pocket, right? So that's kind of like my claim to fame of why I started this. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And also, do you want them to ask questions at the end, right? That's your goal? Or
yeah. So I have a spot in the end where people can ask questions, but I also know if it's like a real simple question, I don't mind jumping into it. If it's a little more detailed, I'll say yes, save it for the end. But it's good sometimes to ask clarifying questions, because I've done this a handful of times. I've been in business since 2008, right? So to me, this is like second nature. So it's always
cool. Yeah. This to me is actually, it's very interesting because I've, as a lender, I'm seeing a lot of investors come to me. And then, there's always a down payment money that you need. Let's say it could be 20%, 10%, whatever it is. And then there's closing costs or whatnot. And then they're telling me they have business lines of credit. And they actually told me they got it from you. So, yeah. So yeah, take it away.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen real quick because it'll help. And then we'll take it from there. So, okay, so now I think we'll be able to share it. You'll be able to pull it up. But essentially, this is all about real estate investing with business credit. And the students that I've worked with.
Hold on, we gotta add it to this. We gotta add it. Hold on.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
there
sweet.
It is. Yep.
Nice, man. Thank you. All right. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Joe with Business Credit Workshop, and I am a real estate investor. So I created this company because around, I won't say the year, but a while ago, I was working for someone else. I was making about $30,000 per year. I had a little office and an opportunity to make commission. But the point is, I wasn't making a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of freedom, and I wanted to do real estate investing. So I read this book. It was called the Pre-Foreclosure Property Investors Kit. And it talked all about direct mail marketing to people that were behind in payments, that were in pre-foreclosure status. And I was like, great, I want to do this. But then to keep up with the marketing, it was going to be a couple grand a month just in stamps and advertising and things like that. So I was kind of stuck in a catch-22 situation where I didn't know, I know what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the money to do it. So I started seeking out other ways to grow my business and get capital for my business. The issue that I ran into, though, is that I was using my personal credit, and the more personal credit I would use, like if I used a personal credit card for stamps, for envelopes, for letters, for I did radio advertising too, which worked really well. But all that was jacking up my personal credit report. And then I learned about business credit. With business credit, it doesn't matter how much business credit you get into. I mean, as long as you keep up with the payments, there's no limit, there's no cap, and it doesn't affect your personal credit utilization. So when I figured that out, I started sharing with people at real estate clubs, and a guy that was running the event asked me to speak on stage, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that, man. Like, I was very shy. I'm kind of introverted. Like, I don't want to do that. But I did it anyways because I was like, this could be kind of cool. So I went on stage and I just started sharing, hey, these are the steps. And that's what I'm going to give you today. I'm going to give you actionable steps, real websites that you can use, and processes too that will be evergreen. So 20 years from now, you could watch this, you could still implement that. And then, so I have some pictures here in the bottom of me speaking on stage, and then everything just kind of took off from there, because I know there's other business credit companies out there, and you might be wondering, why would you watch me for the next, whatever it is, 40 minutes? We're very different in the sense that we've interviewed 4,200 local community banks and credit unions. And these local banks are portfolio lenders. So they lend their own money and they make their own rules. And so you don't have to fit inside of a tiny little box like with Chase. Chase has a 524 rule. So if you have 5 new accounts in the last 24 months, you're not getting the Chase business credit card. You're not getting the Chase products. And that doesn't mean Chase is bad. It just means they're a large national bank that you can go get funding from, but they're so regimented and process oriented because they have thousands of branches. Now, if we compare this to in New Jersey, PNC Bank or Citizens Bank or Univest Bank, Univest has like only a few branches. Most people don't even know what bank, most people have not even heard of that bank. But they do a no-doc business line of credit. They can go up to $75,000 without you having to show tax returns or financials. And so there's actually hundreds of banks out there all across America, including whatever state you're in, that you probably never even heard of. And I'm going to show you how to find them, that do their own lending, and they offer no-doc business lines of credit and business credit cards. And you can use that money as down payment for your deals. But it's going to take a little prep work. And so that's why this is a pencil pen type of, presentation where there's actually going to be action steps to take. It's not just going to be a bunch of hype. Speaking of hype, there is a little bit of excitement behind the fact that I've gotten students over $1 million, over $2 million. Ernest got 100K in the last 30 days. So there is a real reason as to why you'd want to watch this, because the steps that Sergey, for example, took to get $320,000 in unsecured business credit. And by the way, he's a part of the same real estate club that me and Adam are a part of. So these are real people that could actually meet and shake hands with. But the way that he got that funding is by implementing these steps that I'm going to share with you right now. So let me look at, let me have to silence my ringer. There we go. Leads are just flowing in as we're talking, Adam. Alrighty. All right. So listen, so business credit, like I mentioned, it doesn't affect your personal credit utilization. So what this means is that it keeps your credit score high. One of the things I did when I got my first business line of credit and business credit cards, I transferred my personal debt over to my business. And so once I did that, my credit score went through the roof. I was in the high 600s due to high utilization. So like right around 680. And when I transferred my personal debt over to my business, now my scores went up over 800. So I was able to join the 800 FICO club thanks to business credit. Secondly, it's important to separate business and personal expenses. And lastly, with business credit, you can get higher limits. So the first credit card I ever got was from Capital One. I was 18 years old, and it was like $500, and I got it all the way up to $1,800. Hooray. But the first business credit card I got was actually, ironically, from Chase, but it was for $25,000, right? So you can get a lot higher credit limits with business credit than you can with personal credit. Now, one of the things I think a lot of people skip is that teach business credit is they won't tell you the truth, which is that if you're getting $100,000 no doc, meaning you don't have to show tax returns, so a no doc business line of credit from TD Bank, for example, which is something that I have, you do have to personally guarantee that. So a lot of people hide that from you. I'm not going to hide. I want you to know all the information that you need to know so that you can implement this and you can make your real estate career a lot easier. Okay. So yes, a personal guarantee is required. But I'm okay with that, because what that means is that I am saying that I'm going to pay you back the $100K you're about to lend me. Otherwise, you could just create fake companies and then you could default in the debt and just walk away. I mean, that'd be crazy. So that doesn't exist, although there's a lot of false advertising out there with other business credit companies pretending that you're going to get all this funding with no PG, with no personal guarantee. If you're getting a no doc, which means there's no tax returns required, they're not checking financials, balance sheet, anything like that, and you're doing unsecured, which means they're not putting a lien on your business, then yeah, you do give a personal guarantee. We'll talk about later what to do if you're like me, which is credit challenged. So if you do have credit challenges, things like that, you still want to build up business credit, and there's still ways that you can get funding. So we are going to talk about that a little bit later. So make sure you hang out. So I want to talk about funding your deals, which is how to buy deals with little to no out of pocket using business credit. It's the main reason I'm here. And this slide, I actually want to go with you, Adam, in real time, because this is the technique that I use, right? I call it the combo technique, which is you use business credit for your down payment, and then you use hard money lender like Adam. You work with Adam to do the rest of the deal. So he does the acquisition. I do the down payment, financing, repairs, and things like that, right? But I have a question, which is like, this is not up to date anymore, right? You don't need you don't need 20 to 25% down anymore.
It really depends upon the borrower. I would say someone that's brand new to the business, looking for let's call it a fix and flip loan, would have to put like 25 to 30% down.
Okay.
Someone experience meaning for us, at least 6 similar flips or deals completed that they could verify, then we could go up to 90%. So your business credit will cover the 10%, but keep in mind there's also other closing costs. So, and then obviously you have to make interest payments. So
that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Is a good reason to have business credit, and what we do is we create a spreadsheet every deal that we do, so that we know what is the cost of the money and how are we going to make the monthly payments. Because if you're a fix and flip guy and you're buying a property, you got to make, it could be anywhere from $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month, or you got to make your monthly payments. So all that should be part of your calculation. So the best case scenario would be you just need 10%.
Oh, another thing you got to think about too is money, because the lender most lenders will not give you money to start the project. So you may need money, because let's say you got to demo the house, you got to clean up the house and get rid of all that, and then maybe you want to do whatever you're doing, whatever your scope of work is. Then let's say you put out 15 grand. Now you gotta show proof that you actually completed that work, and then you're gonna go submit a draw request for a reimbursement. So I guess that's where this could help too, is to get the project started, so you get to your first draw.
Yeah, exactly. When I started investing in real estate, I didn't know that. Like, no one explained that to me. So I'm just going to write that out so you guys don't, you don't miss that. Is like, if you have, let's say, $50,000 in repairs, and you're working with a private money or hard money lender, you as a developer, you need to front the first draw. So, draw one might be like $10,000.
It could be whatever they want, and whatever they break it up to how many draws they want. But also keep in mind, like for us, inspection fees are, let's call it $300. You do 10 of them, that will add up real quick.
Okay. Right, makes sense. So an inspection fee would be after I got the property, secure it, and I've spent the 10 grand. Now I show proof of that to my lender, to you guys, Oblivion Capital, and then you reimburse me that 10K. but obviously I got to pay for that inspection to occur. So this piece here is another piece I see that's kind of missed a lot when people are learning about hard money lending and acquiring deals. Is you need money for a lot of things, guys. You need the money not just for the down payment, but you also need it for financing the repairs, because you're coming out of pocket each draw, and then you're getting it back. So which brings up a whole bunch of points, but I think the bottom line is that you want to have your numbers ready as far as what's my cost of money, and how much total capital do I need to get into the deal, and you should work in a buffer, and you got to work in holding costs and taxes and insurance and monthly payments and anything else that's on the
cost overruns, because you will go over budget.
And yeah, exactly.
It's going to happen.
It is going to happen. You're right, 100%.
And that actually happens a lot too. Sorry to cut you off. Where clients, they'll go over budget, right? And then all of a sudden they don't have enough money to get to the next draw.
Right.
And they run out of money. So this is where this could help create that buffer, or reserves or contingency money to help them for cost overruns as well. So
I was talking to a friend at the last real estate club meeting that we were at, and I've known him for years, and he shared with me a deal he has in Northeast Jersey, and the deal has a lot of meat left on the bone, but they're way over budget. And so most hard money lenders, everyone that I've met, they don't want to, if you're already over budget with your first hard money lender, they don't want to come in and like drag you out of a problem there. Most likely.
Yeah, it's called a midstream refinance. We could do them, but if you could utilize Joe's service, maybe you have to wait some time, but it may be more of it, because you still have to wait to for the midstream refinance, but also this may be definitely a cheaper route to go this route. Because obviously, you're gonna pay for another route, or you may just get rejected altogether. So
right, exactly. So, he was short, and that's kind of what I told him. I was like, you could talk with people about private lending, perhaps talk with the hard money lender about, like you just said, refinancing it, which I didn't even know you could do in some cases. But he's got a couple $100,000 in equity, and I of course told him about this solution, which would be the business credit solution. Fortunately, he's known me for a long time, and he did get business credit working with us many years ago. And he really just needed an update on like who's the banks right now, because that's the cool part about this, guys, is that if you take notes right here, this is the most important slide. So if you're watching this live, take a screenshot or something, take a picture of it. If you're watching the replay, you make sure you pause it right here, because these are actually the steps of what you need to do. And once you complete these steps, you actually, at the bottom says reflect and repeat. You could just repeat this process over and over and over again for as many banks, as much funding as you could possibly want. So first thing is obviously to set up your company. You can get business credit on a sole proprietorship, but I don't really recommend it. It's very limiting to getting business lines of credit. It's easier to get credit cards, but it's going to be hard to get lines of credit. And so, and by the way, I'll show you guys this too. Again, this is something I don't think most people would share with you, but you can get, like, let's say you're brand new and you can't get business lines of credit yet because you're new, and but you have a business credit card. This is actually something that Adam was sharing with me a few minutes ago. He's like, I really want the lines of credit. It's like, yeah, but did you know you can use services like Plastic? And I have my title company is in my Plastic account. So I signed up for a Plastic account. It's free to sign up. And I type in the information for my title company, and now they can wire ACH or send the check to my title company. So I have a business credit card for $25K. They can swipe the entire $25,000 and send minus fees. The fees, if you look at their website, are under 3%, which is cheaper than a cash advance rate by a tremendous amount. And they will send a check to your title company. So this is a way where newer investors you can buy properties basically off a business credit card using services like Plastic. The other one is Melio Payments. Go ahead. You have a question?
I actually heard this, and I knew, now you just answered. Actually, you could, but the title company needs to be able to accept credit card.
No, as long as the title company is in business and established, then they can get approved. So the title company that I work with, probably the same company you know about, any reputable title company, any company that is reputable, essentially, as defined by plastic, you just type their information in here and they can ACH to them or send them a wire or send them
Oh,
a check. So they don't need
so
to, yeah, they don't need
so
to
it
be
comes
able to
as the A, you plug it in their banking information, it will take it as an ACH.
Yeah.
From,
So if I'm a real estate investor and I have this business credit card that Joe helped me get, I can swipe it with plastic. Plastic will then send a wire or a check or ACH right to the title company. Now at the closing table, I'm zero out of pocket.
wow, and it's under 3%. Okay.
And their fees, you just scroll down, you can look at what their pricing is. Yeah. So it's under 3%. And by the way, they have a help button here. Ask them questions. They're super helpful. You just ask them straight up, and it was very easy to set up.
Again, so I was thinking about that too. They could make interest payments in theory using this.
They could pay you in theory using this because you have a company that's established.
Yeah.
Then yeah. So if you got people that need to pay you and they have credit and you don't accept credit cards, that's why this was created. So you, Adam might say, I'm not accepting credit cards for payments, but y'all can go to plastic.com, plastic with a Q, and sign up, and then they'll mail me the check. And now they're not defaulting on your debt.
They're making interest payments. That's actually,
and they're paying you.
yeah. It's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. If you guys like that one, hit the thumbs up. Okay, so these are the steps, right? So we create the company, preferably. There's always shortcuts to everything, okay? But you came here for the best process. So the best process is to actually set up a company, LLC or corporation, and when you create it, you want to create it with a neutral name. So JTI Real Estate was my first company. That was a real estate investment company. Obviously, it says real estate in there, and it gets harder to get funding from banks with the word real estate in there. So the second company I created could be JTI Management or JTI Ventures, or it doesn't matter, JTI Management Group, doesn't matter what it's called, but it's a more neutral name. And I like to say that it's not because we're hiding anything from the bank. We're actually going to be very clear with the bank in a few steps from now on our process, but it removes a prejudgment. It removes like a pre-thought notion, which could lead to more difficult conversations with banks. The other advantage of having a neutral name as your entity name and a neutral line of business is it leaves the door open to, I thought I was going to do real estate, and now I'm watching Cody Sanchez videos on YouTube, and now I'm all excited about buying a laundromat. Well, good thing you created your company as JTI Management, because that could have a DBA or a trademark that a DBA is doing business as. It's $50 to file it. So you could have a trademark or a DBA that's like Bob's Laundromat or whatever it is, Billy's side hustle car washing service, whatever it is. So most people have a parent company, like SC Johnson's a parent company, and then Windex is the trademark. That's the subsidiary of the company. This is not it. I hope it doesn't sound too complicated, because we're talking about $50 and it's that simple to be registered with a brand name and have your parent company as a neutral name. If you already have your company set up, let's use what you have, but I always recommend that people have a second profile. So you might want to have two businesses when you're getting business credit, because with personal credit, you only have one credit profile. That's it. You got 3 credit scores. You really don't have one profile. If you jack that up, you're in trouble. But with business credit, you could have as many business credit profiles as you have businesses. And in this country, we're allowed to have as many businesses as we personally see fit and can keep up with our legal obligations, of course, right? So set up your company, and the next step, and by the way, I do recommend people talk with a CPA. I do recommend people talk with an attorney. I'm not qualified to give tax advice, just fair disclosure as part of this presentation. But so now you have your company set up, and you want to and you get your business checking account set up. You need to have a phone number for your business, and your phone number needs to be found online. Your business needs to be found online. Okay, so that's when we talk about established company, those are like the core elements of it. Step 2 is to boost your business credit score. So for this, I'm going to bring up, bring up a browser here. And so There's different services that you can use to boost up your business credit score. This is called NAV. This is what you need, Adam, if you don't have it yet.
Nav.
Yeah, go get this NAV Prime account. It's I think 50 or 60 a month, and you need one per company. And yeah, that's why I say usually start with two, so you have two subscriptions. But this will do two things. It's going to boost up your business credit score, and it's also going to allow you to check and monitor your business credit score. So you need to have a NAV account, and it's NAV, just like we're seeing on the screen here. That's one thing. Now, there's other ways to boost up your business credit score. There is, gotta make sure I type it in correct, so we don't accidentally go somewhere weird. So another company is called eCredible, and they have right here. Click on business credit, and for $20 a month, they have Business Lift, which allows you. It reports the business credit bureaus, which are on the screen. They're Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, and Experian Business. Okay, when you just get a tax ID number, like an EIN number for your business, you're not actually boosting up your business credit score. You have to boost up your business credit score with these three bureaus, just like with personal credit. And those three bureaus, again, are Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, Experian Business. So you can use services like this that will very quickly boost up your business credit score. And you'll use services like NAV to know, what is my business credit score? Do I even have one? You probably do. So these are you use these services to verify that the information is correct inside your credit score, but also to boost up your business credit score. Does that make sense so far?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I'm taking notes myself. Of course, I'm gonna go back to the replay.
All right, good. That's a good sign. All right, next is to improve our personal credit score. So I talked a lot about the fact that PGs exist, personal guarantees, and so I'll give you another real example. Right, and again, all these concepts.
One important thing is the banks won't know how many lines of credit you have with your business, or will they know?
Okay, so let's talk about that. So, all right, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a secret. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something real cool. So, most local backyard banks, this is why we work with backyard banks, most of them don't report anywhere. So, what that means is that no one can really see what your balance is if you have how much debt you have or you don't have. Now, they do that on purpose. It's not like we found some weird trick. They know what they're doing, and they offer programs that cater to startup businesses. So they're purposely not reporting your debt load. And then the same thing is that same bank is not asking for a balance sheet. So they're purposely not asking you, hey, Adam, how much debt you got? So to answer your question, that is why you can practically, and this isn't true with 100% of banks, there are a few banks that will report your balance, and it's okay if they do. It's not a deal breaker. You could have high business credit utilization and still get plenty of business credit, okay? But I just want to let you in on that. Another secret reason, as far as why we love backyard banks. And as I mentioned earlier, they're doing this on purpose to cater to startups and small businesses. That's their niche. If you go to Capital on Tap is kind of like a fintech lender, financial technology lender. One of these newer companies that are cool in the sense that it's not like a traditional stuffy bank, right? They do a business credit card up to $50,000, and it says based on credit worthiness of applicant. And if you go into the frequently asked questions, I could tell you off the top of my head. I don't know if it'll work in real time. Me searching for it, but they pull business Experian and they pull personal Experian, and it is on one of their frequently asked questions. But there's a lot here, so I don't want to bore you with that. But they do pull. Why are we improving our personal credit score? Many banks pull business credit score and your personal credit score. So you do have to improve your personal credit score before applying. And the quickest way to do this is with personal credit utilization. So there's a whole bunch of information out there on like credit repair and things like that. And I'm not a credit repair person, but there's plenty of information out there. Okay, so what does this mean? here I am. I'll give you an example. Let's say when my wife was looking to get a business line of credit from KeyBank and Affinity Bank right here in New Jersey. So what I did is I added her as an authorized user to a credit card that I have. I have an Amex with a $0 balance and a $20,000 limit. And so I go on Amex.com, I add her as an authorized user. She's not even necessarily going to use the card, but by her becoming an authorized user to that account, it opened up her credit utilization. Ideally, credit utilization needs to be under 25%. So if you add up all the personal credit cards that you have, right, all the balances, all the limits, if your total limit is 10 grand, you need your balance at 2,500 or less. So it's 25%. If it's over that and like you jacked up all your personal credit cards because you're trying to start your business, then you're not alone. But you're going to need to get your utilization down under ideally 25%. I mean, you could be under 50%, you can still get approved, but ideally you want to be under 25% utilization. Okay. The quickest way to do that is with authorized users. It's called an authorized user technique if you want to Google it. And what I did, again, I added her as an AU to my account. And then that gave her three things. It gave her better credit utilization. It gave her a trade line that's more than 10 years old because I've had that Amex for more than 10 years. And it gave her a credit limit of 10K or higher. So when you try to get mortgages and things like that, authorized user technique doesn't work as well. But today we're talking about how to get business credit cards. So by doing that, she has a seasoned trade line that's more than 10 years old. That's one way to improve your credit score. She has a card that has more than $10,000 limit. That's the second way. And then third, her credit utilization is now under 25%. So within 3 weeks of me doing this, her credit score went way up and she got approved. She got 50K from KeyBank and 50K from Affinity Federal Credit Union. So you could write those banks down if you want. Because actually, that's my segue to the next section, which is you want to network with local community banks and credit unions. So,
real quick, do you think this is a better credit? Because I have a Chase business credit card. Well, it's a Visa, but it's from Chase. So I guess like, what's the benefit of this capital on tap over a Chase Inc. or United? And also, I got the United credit card too. I get, points for travel.
I think the Chase Inc. card is better, but I want both because it gave me an extra $36,000 to invest in my business.
Oh, so these have higher credit limit.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And having more than one. So though, if you look at, I had a screenshot way back, which actually I will show you guys, and then we'll jump back. So this is Kenny. So Kenny said, big payout today. I met with the vice president. This is actually very relevant to what we're talking about right now. I met with the vice president of business lending today at a networking event, First Horizon Bank. Okay. He went back after this networking event. Kenny's a student of mine. He follows a process that you guys are learning today. So he went back to the bank after the networking event. We all go to networking events. These are like Chamber of Commerce networking events. And then he got opened 2 accounts. And he got 2 $50,000 BCC, which is business credit cards. He got 2 $100,000 BLOCs, which are business lines of credit. So he walked out with $300,000 in business lines of credit and business credit cards through just networking. And that's why this whole step, the whole process to me compared to anyone else you see out there is, well, we're not doing the work for you. I'm teaching you how to do this. Like I'm teaching you how to fish so you could fish for the rest of your life. Okay, you're not going to hand me your pole and say, Joe, go fish that lake. I did that already. Okay, now I'm teaching you guys what are the steps you need to take to get as much funding as you can. So Kenny takes my course, he follows the process. He goes to a networking event, which is in the training. It's step 5. It's what we're covering right now. And then he got whatever it was $300,000 in business credit. And one of them was at 6.9%, no doc unsecured, and interest rates will go up and down, but that's pretty competitive. In our community, we all talk about, like, look, one of the questions is like, well, how old were those 2 companies that got the money? How much did you put into the bank for deposits? So our community is extremely detail oriented in the sense that we're going to answer your questions that, you're not going to find on most training platforms. And to answer those questions, he had 2 companies. One was over 2 years old. So Kenny had 2 companies. One was over 2 years old. and he only puts in $250 in the account. So you go to the bank, go to First Horizon Bank, you open the business checking account with a couple $100. And what I teach is don't go right away and apply. The reason this step is before apply is I want you to network with the local community banks and credit unions, open the business checking accounts with them, establish a relationship with them before you apply. Now, just so you know, you don't just randomly put $250 into thousands of banks. You're going to interview the bank ahead of time. You're going to make sure they offer programs that are small business friendly, that they offer a no-doc business line of credit for $100K, that they offer business credit cards up to $50K. Prior to, that's what the whole networking thing was. That's why you went to the networking event. That's why you shook hands, you bought donuts and everything like that for everyone. Then when you learn, hey, this bank might be worth my time, then you go into the bank and you apply. Now there is a process called credit stacking, right? So you could very easily just say, well, why don't I just go to chase.com, bankofamerica.com, and citi.com and apply? And you should actually, but you're limited to those 3 or 4 banks. With this process, there's no limit to how much funding you can get. So after you've exhausted Chase, why would you then go to Capital on Tap? It's because it gave me another $36K, right? That's how much I personally got approved for. I got $36,000 from Capital on Tap. So if I continue this process, that's how you can clear 6 figures in business credit. Some people cleared 7.
And they use these business credit cards. You go to like Plastics or another company to use it for the down payment to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yep. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, buying a house on a credit card.
Exactly. All right. So then you do your applications and you invest. That's the whole point of this is you invest the money into real estate assets that can bring you cash flow, or maybe they're fix and flips. There's a whole argument with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Robert Kiyosaki, good debt versus bad debt. So I'm a big advocate of good debt. Every millionaire and billionaire I know uses good debt, right? It's debt that you're not just racking up credit card debt and like flying to Hawaii or whatever. It's your business what you do with your money. But I would hope, being as there's no limit to how much funding you can get, use this money to buy assets, to become a net worth millionaire, to increase your cash flow. That's literally what I did with the money, step by step. So you invest that money into real estate, and then you reflect on the process and repeat. And I added that there because, not every time you're going to get approved. Like you mentioned, Citizens Bank, right? They gave you some trouble about whatever. We won't get into the details, but you're going to reflect and repeat on that. And you're going to keep in touch with your point of contact at Citizens Bank and say, what can we do to do a reconsideration? A lot of times, if I get denied for business credit, I can get a reconsideration approved almost 50% of the time. If I can't get it approved, I will reflect and repeat. I'm going to reflect on, well, what was off? Oh, they didn't like the name of your business. It's JTI Real Estate, whatever. Oh, cool. Okay, I have this other company, Business Credit Workshop. It's a coaching and consulting business. Well, that's a little bit more lendable. All right, well, let's use that for the application. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there's industries that they don't want to lend to. And it could even be in your LLC name, whatever it is, they may not like it. And
yeah, so when I talk with banks, I'll tell them, hey, this is what I do. I do whatever it is. I do asset management. I do consulting, or whatever it is. And I have a company that's created with a neutral name, so it's easier to get funding. And if you're finding, when you network with banks, there's 2 different types of bankers, right? There's those that it's just a job. This is something that like they're just waiting until 5 p.m. to go home. They don't really care about you or your business, your goals, objectives, all that. Okay, welcome to America, right? Welcome to planet Earth. Okay, then you have the other half is like, and this is what you want to do. So like kind of a more advanced technique is actually, I could show you guys real quick. Is you want to connect with banks that are the top SBA lenders in your state. And then you want to meet with these people, connect with them on LinkedIn. And a lot of these types of banks have what's called a vice president of business lending. When you work with the vice president of business lending, they can advocate for you getting approved. It's a lot different than just doing credit stacking, going to chase.com at 2 a.m. and applying for a business credit card. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. You can do that. But the alternative is I have a client named Charles, right? And I think you know who he is, Mr. Elizabeth. So how did he got two $50,000 Chase business credit cards. And most people, if you do the online application, you do the credit stacking way, you only get up to like 35K. So how do you get 100? And one of his $50,000 cards, it's right on his Facebook profile. It was publicly something he shared, is that he got one of his 50K cards to 90K. So how did he get the Chase business credit card to $90,000? Relationships. He worked with a vice president of business lending. He has an advocate at the bank that cares about small business owners, cares about investing in their community. He isn't that other half of the employees that are just trying to leave at 5 p.m. He's the guy that shows up early, leaves late, and goes to networking events, and will grab a cup of coffee with you. When you find these point of contacts at the bank, and every bank has them, but they're not always easy to find. They are hard to find. But when you find them, you can actually develop rapport with them, and you can have very open dialogues with them. That way you're not trying to hide, oh, I do real estate investing. I hope I don't get declined.
What's their title generally for this?
Vice president of
Vice
business.
President. Okay. Yeah. I feel like vice president is loosely. I mean, like everybody's a vice president.
It is loosely used. So it's not usually the branch manager. It's a different person, and they are regionally set up. So they might handle like 5 or 6 banks.
It's about like it's a higher up.
It's but they're not so high to where they're too corporate.
Got it.
They can still go out and have a good time. Like I'll give you an example. Like there was a real estate investment association that did an event at Topgolf. I mean, and there's M&T Bank was there.
Oh, okay.
M&T Bank works with vice presidents of business lending, like that's their structure. And those are people that you can network with and have open dialogue with and kind of break down those barriers between banking and small business owners and real estate investors to see how you could find a way to get funding.
Wow. It's interesting. It's like, well, because I know like you have real estate investors that go to networking events to meet private lenders. Well, now you go network to meet, bankers that can give you these lines of credit.
Right. It's the same thing you and I do at the real estate clubs, but you're going to Chamber of Commerce events and you're going to like SBA events. There's a lot of stuff I could share with you guys, but there's I'll just show you one. This one's in New Jersey. This is called the Union County Economic Development Corporation. That's a mouthful, but they're everywhere. They're in every state in America. They're in every state, wherever you're listening from. You have an economic development corporation, and you can join their email list and go on all their socials and Instagram and all that. You can call them and you can find out, where are you guys? Like, you got any events coming up? And you go to these events, you start shaking hands. And what you're going to find is that people will tell you way more about how things really happen with small business lending in person when they're shaking your hand than they're just going to tell you on the phone. So I'm going in an inverse direction of where the rest of the country is going, which is everyone's trying to just go online to 4 different banks and they fill out an online application, and half of them get denied, the other half get approved. And then they go, hey, I got 2 banks. Okay, cool, man. I got 200 banks over here. So yeah, our process requires something most people don't want to do, which is work. But if you're watching this, I bet you work doesn't scare you. I bet you like to get work done.
Yeah, well,
brings you happiness.
I'm guilty because I go online, and that's what I did. I didn't know it any better than you actually network with the small.
Yeah. So there's a whole process. That is what backyard banking is. That is what I teach at Business Credit Workshop. That's how we get millions of dollars in funding.
Wow.
So we talked a little bit about like, what do you do if you're credit challenged? There's different options as far as what you can do. You can look at like if your spouse, for example, has better credit than you do, or vice versa. If they are involved in your business, they could be your partner. And then once you have the business credit, you could actually use the business credit to pay down your personal debt, and that can help open up your personal credit profile. like increase your credit score, and then you can apply. I have to say, though, obviously, if you're using a credit partner or a partner in the business to do the applicant, make sure they know, and they're signing everything that they know this, that they're on the hook for the debt, right? So credit partners is a commonly discussed topic in the business credit community, but just make sure you're doing it with someone you know, like, and trust, but also that they are aware of the risk. It would be like co-signing on a car loan, for example. But the business credit does not show on your personal credit, on their personal credit score. As long as you're paying on time, it won't show on their personal credit score. There's only like two credit cards that are business credit cards that affect your personal credit. It's TD Bank and Capital One.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a TD Bank business credit card. I gotta look and see. But
yeah, double check that. So their business line of credit, though, for TD Bank does not.
There's a business credit card.
The credit card, yeah. So they report their balance.
I think it's my first business credit card I ever got years ago. But interesting. I gotta look.
One of the problems is that people run into is banks don't take you seriously when you're a newer business owner. So the solution I came up with is to build a solid foundation and do it quickly. So I did create a 5-day get funded challenge. There's not going to be a big long pitch here. I'm just going to tell you it's less than $150 and it's a 5-day challenge. I'm going to give you, there's some banks that I want to share with you right now that are lending. But before I transition to that and I open it up to Q&A and things like that, I wanted to share with you. You might be, I'm watching this. I want to keep in touch. I want to learn. Then you should join our Get Funded Challenge, which is it starts every 2 weeks. The next one starts this Monday, actually. On Monday is day one. It's a 5-day challenge. And we're going to teach you how to set up your base, your foundation with creating the company, launching the company, like the online presence and everything like that. So day one's all about building your foundation. And then day 2 is boosting up your business credit profiles. Day 3, boost up your credit profile. So if you notice, everything I'm teaching you guys here today is exactly what you can implement. Right? I'm not holding anything back. I'm doing lots of screen sharing too and stuff like that. So you really know it. You can watch this whole 1-hour thing and you're good to go. But if you decide I want support during the time of doing this, then we have a challenge that will make you do this. Sometimes you need to be challenged to do so. And every day that you complete these tasks, you earn rewards. And the rewards you can redeem for swag. Like I'm wearing this business credit workshop sweatshirt. I got this business credit workshop coffee mug. It works. And we have a chat room. So like we're all talking in the chat room. You can ask me any question. How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? You get live chat during your 5-day challenge. Day 3, again, boosting up your personal credit score. How to work with credit partners and things like that. Day 4 is actually calling banks. So we actually teach you specifically and give you the scripts on how to call banks, how to network with banks. You systemize the whole process. And
you know what I just thought of too? I'm sorry to cut you off. Okay. Is that take notice too? Like I have a lot of clients that borrow from us, and and their credit's getting whacked because they're putting their materials on their personal credit card. They're funding their flip on their personal credit card.
Yeah.
And then now the problem is they want to refinance it to a DSCR loan, and you need to have decent credit for that.
Yeah, and you can't have high credit utilization.
Yeah, so
they need a couple of these business credit cards, transfer your debt over, and now your credit utilization looks incredible and your score is good. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
A lot of these cards allow balance transfers at 0% too, by the way.
You could balance transfer a personal to business.
Yeah. So you go into you get the GM, you get the Chase, whatever it is, the City, the new business credit card, you get your account, you log in. All they're asking for is the account number and the balance that you want to transfer. Then in 3 or 4 days, it'll pay off your personal card and move it to your business. Now you do have to tell your CPA, hey, I am doing this, and look at any tax consequence of doing that. But I can tell you, for me, it was worth it. We're in America. There's always going to be some type of tax consequence to things like that. That might be interpreted as income, but again, I can't give tax advice. But for me, it was worth it because now my credit score is over 800. Now I can just go get whatever that guy wants, funding wise.
Yeah, I could give you another story that happened to me. So, when I was in Brazil for like a month or close to it, and I wasn't holding balances, but I went over my 30% utilization in, let's say, 3 weeks, because hotel, I was charging everything. I want to get the points on my Chase Sapphire Reserve. And I looked at my credit, it got whacked. I was like, what's going on? And then I
Yep.
paid it off in full when it was due. But that's the problem. I was at the statement balance, I believe,
Yep.
was growing. So I guess the strategy is put in your business credit card if you plan on charging a lot of big expenses that's personal. So you don't go.
Yeah. So there's two options there. So you could use a business credit card, because it sounds like it might have been a business trip. I'm not sure.
No, well, it was. I mean, I was personal, and I was working from there, but.
Or you figure it out. But that's one option. The other option is that one of the things we have in the course is it's a log. It's like a tool that you can use to track everything. So I know, Chase, my statement closes the 10th, and I know that the reporting happens right around the 14th. So I use a Chase card every day. Not every, but practically every day. It's a personal card, because personal, I use personal, business, I use my business. But I pay it down by like the 8th, because that way, So that's all. We just track statement end date, and we track reporting date. And it's really kind of, for me, it's a little fun, because I'll give you another example. PenFed Credit Union, they do a personal line of credit up to $25,000, right? And so and they give you checks. So many times I've used my personal line of credit with PenFed, and I have until the end of the month to pay it off to zero. That's how it works with me. You got to do your own due diligence on this. But I talk to PenFed. When do you report? We report. Get your balance down to zero by the end of the month. Okay. So I know that if I'm that gives me like 3 to 4 weeks to use that line of credit. So if I need 10 grand super quick, there's another way that you can actually use personal lines of credit to fund deals. And Adam might be paying me back in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, but I needed that money today. As long as I pay it off before the statement closes, then it will not affect my personal credit. So I'm 90% business credit, but I love credit. I love responsible use of credit. So I also use a lot of personal credit too. And I look at, I don't call it credit hacking, but I look at when do things report, what are the statement close dates. If you get really good at this, and this is of course something we talk about too, is point accumulation.
Yes.
Millions of points. You
I was just thinking that. You read my mind, because that's why I use credit cards. I want to at United. I travel a lot, and plus you go to Brazil, United. So
you get status. You get status of hotels. I won't tell you the statuses, but I have status on United. I have status on Marriott, and I have a lot of points with Amex. And so, if you follow me on Facebook, whatever, you see me going to like Jamaica and Aruba, my whole family and all that. It's all points, and it's not costing me anything to go on those trips, thanks to business credit. You know what I mean? So it's really, there's so many benefits to it. Okay, so these are some resources. Another good slide to take a screenshot of as I kind of start to wrap up. But you have, for personal credit, I like to use myfico.com, because they actually give you the real FICO score 8, and that's what you want. Even like not FICO score 9 came out, and 3 years from now you'll be watching this on YouTube and it'll be FICO score 10 or whatever. Listen, it's 85% of banks still use FICO score 8. So know what your FICO score is, not just your Credit Karma score. You need to know your FICO.
It's called myfico.com.
Yeah, just MYFICO. Yeah, just myfico.
Is it free? Or is there
it's not free though. That's the thing. So it's about $40 a month.
Okay.
You can still, by the way, some of your credit cards will give you your FICO score for free. So you could always look at that, but I try to share with people what's the quickest resources to get you there, not the cheapest. That would be a different slide.
So this is more accurate than, I go to my credit card and it says what you can look up your, whatever
credit score. Yeah. So some of them, a lot of them do not give you your FICO score. A lot of them give you a credit score. So just double check that, because it's 2 different scores, obviously. For business credit, today we talked about NAV and eCredible. Lending, we mentioned the SBA lender list and some fintech lenders. And then communities, always join, like you could join, there's business credit Facebook groups, and there's also a lot of real estate networking groups like yours we were just at a few days ago
Yes.
as well. So if you want to join the Get Funded Challenge, this is what you get as part of the offer. You get the 5-day Get Funded Challenge. You get the outreach bank scripts that you can use when you're calling banks. You can put together a database of local banks that are offering this funding. A process to hire this process out in case you don't want to call banks. You want to hire someone to do it for you. A whole training on personal credit and how to boost up your personal credit quickly. I give you simple applications. We give you chat support during the challenge. So the 5-day challenge is my course, it's my chat support, it's my resources. We do share a lot of banks. We shared a lot today. So we'll continue to share with you local banks and national banks that are in a good lending mood. And it's literally $147, right? So that's what the cost is. And that's a full complete system, in case you're wondering, right? If you want to go check it out, you would go to, there's a URL here that you can go to, tinyurl.com/BCWAdam, or you can scan this QR code. When you go there, I got a little more I'm going to share with you guys, but I wanted to jump around for a second. When you go there, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this. And then you can click sign up today. We're going to ask what's your name and what's your email. You click submit, and then there's a shopping cart. It's, like I said, $147. You could sign up for the 5-day Get Funded Challenge there, and we can keep in touch after this presentation. And then watch this welcome video. So you get an email saying, here's your login. Just watch this 5-minute welcome video so you're ready for the day one, which again, it starts every 2 weeks on Mondays.
And they're going to get, and this is for them to actually get approved for business credit. This is actually, we're going to see results from this.
Yeah, exactly. So take the 1 hour that we did today, and it's going to be about 5 times that, right? So I mean, I have a lot to say, but I like to keep these things short. We shouldn't do a 7-hour live today. So it's 5 lessons. They're each an hour long. It's Q&A and things like that. And so before I jump into some of my favorite lenders, I want to just see if you have any questions that you want me to answer.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Let me see that. Give me a second. Try to see, how do we know if there's questions? It's in the comments. Oh.
I think I had the feed open, but
yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I opened up a lot of stuff.
No, this is interesting. I had a question and I just forgot it, but because this is a lot of great information.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what it was. Not a question, but I know there's some, I guess brokers that basically they'll do the work for you, but they're going to charge you a lot. This is, a broker meeting, they're going to go be the intermediary and they're going to make probably, 3-4 points on you. This is cheaper. This is actually a better route where you don't have to pay a broker. If you make get $100,000, now you got to pay like $4,000. This is $147.
Yeah, what's funny about the brokers is like when people receive that service, they kind of have a little bit of like buyer's remorse because the broker went through the credit stacking process and they went to chase.com and they went to citi.com. And these are the same 4 banks that you already knew about before you hired the broker. So you don't need to give them 10% of the funding they get you. It's okay if you want to do that. I'm not hating on the business style. Good for you. A lot of people make a lot of money from that. But the challenge that I run into is that I told you guys that we're into backyard banking. Backyard banks, local community banks, credit unions, they're not going to pay referral fees and broker fees. They hate business brokers because they just have a bad reputation. I won't tell you exactly why and all of that. But you have Google, so you could figure out the rest. So it's okay if you want to hire someone to do this for you. I don't do it for you. I am more of a man that says, let me teach you how to fish. And I gave you a bunch of fish today. We do get some salmon, some trout, right? We talked about a lot of different banks, and I got a few more I'm about to share with you. So I don't mind feeding you guys today, but I wanted to teach you how to fish so that you could do this for the rest of your career. And obviously the hope is that if you like what I've shared with you and you want to somehow keep in touch with me, I gave you some ways to do that, but it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to do that. But bottom line is, yeah, be careful with the strikesters. They're going to charge you 10% of the funding that they get you. Because if you get $100,000, now you owe them $10,000. Where I just showed you how you can get $100,000 and you can do it for free. And for as little as $147, you can actually join our community. This screenshot that I shared with you might be something that you would be interested in. Is like, I want to talk with Kenny. How did he get $100,000 business lines of credit, 2 $50,000 business credit cards? Like, I want to be John. I want to be in your community. I want to ask him questions like, oh, how much money did you put in the bank account? How old were your entities? What bureau do they pull? Do they pull TransUnion, Experian, Equifax? So if you really want to get into business funding, like for real, FRFR, you want to get real serious with this, and you want to get significant amounts of business funding, you should join our community. You can scan the QR code, or you can go to the URL that we have here, because you're going to get access to our Get Funded Challenge, but you're also going to get access to, there's thousands of students, by the way. You're going to get access to other students and me as well. Obviously, I'm in the community.
So you get to network with other potential real estate investors, like and
Yep.
yeah, you're building a network. So it's not only are you learning, but it's a community, which is great.
There's a woman in our community that was trying to acquire her first real estate deal, and Kenny, who's another student in our community, I showed you a screenshot of him, helped her. He has he's 50 state license developed, so he can develop property in all 50 states. He's just one. I'll show you real quick. He's just one user. I mean, sorry, he's a friend, but we have a leaderboard. He's just one user in the community. I meant to say, like, one member of the community. Here he is here. And so in our community, there's other people on our leaderboard, like Steven and Travis. And Travis actually was at the networking event, one of the networking events you and I went to. He flew in. This is like unheard of. But he flew in so that he had some business he had to do, but he specifically came to our event so that he could meet with me and so he could support me in sharing this message at the real estate club. The reason people are willing to do that is because we are a community of business credit builders. We're trying to lift each other up. We're trying to help each other out. And if you want to be a part of something like that with respect to getting business funding, yeah, you should drop the $150. It's a small investment, and you'll be a part of our community so that you can have the support of other people that are trying to get business funding.
And that's for life, right? It's lifetime membership.
Yeah, there's no for the Get Funded Challenge, it's like an extra $20, and then you have lifetime access. So it's actually $167 if you want to do lifetime. Or
it's definitely, in my opinion, that'd be a better option.
Yeah. Everyone takes it, right?
Yeah.
Upsell, right? I mean, I'm still a business owner, man. I'm still going to sell something. But hey, that's not bad. $20 gets you lifetime access. I think that's a fair deal.
Yeah, 100%. This is, I mean, look, like what you said before, 10%. That's crazy. So basically, you're taking out, you're getting approved for a credit card. Now you only get 90,000, or a business line. Now you got 9. Now you're in the hole, 10 grand.
Right. And you don't know the process of finding other banks. You have to keep going back to that guy and giving them 10%. When in reality, you could have called M&T Bank, met them for coffee, and gotten $100,000 from them yourself. Right.
Wow.
So to each their own, but my suggestion would be, like, always learn the process first before you outsource it. That's my thing.
So I have some questions. How long? So let's say I'm a flipper and I want to buy a house. How long does it take? Like, let's say I already have an LLC, how long does it take to get approved? I guess
let's say if you already have an LLC and you already have established, then it would be the reason we go with no doc business line of credit lenders like PNC, for example. They do up to $75,000 business line of credit without tax returns. So we know we can go get more. We could apply for 100. We could apply for 150. But why do we go for the max on the no doc amount? It's not just so that we don't have to show tax returns, right? It's because it's quick. So it could be as little as 2 days from the point of application to approval, and then another 2 or 3 days to have the cash in hand. That's pretty fast.
So it's like less than a week.
Yeah, less than a week. Now, I did say if you're established, right? If you're brand new, it's gonna be about 30 days at the earliest. If you're already up and running, then yeah, it could be next week.
And LLC needs to be what, 2 years old?
So if you're going to get business credit cards, these are good questions, by the way. Then you want to have. It doesn't matter how old your company is. If you want to go for lines of credit, then it needs to be 2 years or older.
Got it. And then how about business credit card? I think
so. Business credit cards could be a brand new company, and then you would have to use services like Plastic to pull cash off the card.
But you get it right. I think you get approved right away. Because I think when I opened up my business, I got a credit card right away because it's like, oh, I opened up my business account, and then they're like, oh, you want a credit card? Yeah.
You can, yes, you can. So when you open up a business checking account, sometimes they'll offer you money right away, and people say, "Should I take it?" And I always say, "Yeah, you could take it," and then build up your business credit score and follow the steps that we covered today, and then you could actually apply for a credit limit increase, or now you apply for a new bank, like Citizens is now on the screen, right? So Citizens could be the second bank that you apply for. And now you have an established business with a good business credit profile, and they do up to 50K, by the way, 50K business line of credit and business credit cards.
And I guess another thing that people want is like 0% APR, which, credit cards offer that, because now you could, use it. You take money, use plastics, maybe pay your, 3%, but then you have zero. You're not paying interest for maybe a year, 6 months, or longer.
Right. So 0% APR is a promo that comes and goes, right? Right now it's back on. Is the time of us recording this. Whereas a few months ago, it was hard to find 0%. So right now, practically any bank that offers a business credit card is doing 0% promo for 12 to 18 months, as far as like PNC, Citi. You guys got to check out what Truist is doing. They're doing big things, and they offer 0% business credit cards as well.
What is it called? True what?
Truist, TRUIST.
Truist.
Yeah.
Oh, I got right here. Truist Financial.
Yep. So there's signs as far as why we go after banks like Truist. And we know that they have recently bought out other banks. They've recently acquired other banks. We know that you can look at the business financials of the bank, the stock price, but you can also look at other factors as well. This might be a little bit technical, but the common denominator is that there's banks in good lending moods and there's banks in bad lending moods. So the whole thing, as far as like what I teach inside the Get Funded Challenge, how do you find these banks in good lending moods? And then that's why you keep seeing all these people get approved. Truist can go up to 100K, no doc business line of credit, and they're small business, startup business friendly. So if you're a brand new business, you actually can get a line of credit from them, but it's limited. I think it's up to 25K instead of 100K.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And what industries, I guess, do they like? If you're gonna say, hey, or not industry, like service, because they're gonna ask you, oh, what's your line of service? You don't want to tell them, yeah, I'm gonna be buying a house, because that's gonna get rejected.
Yeah. So you would need to have things established where I flip the script, right? The reverse Uno card, right? So they ask me a question, I'm gonna counter with a question. So you could share with them your story and see if they lend to that industry. So, for example, I do asset management and I also do property management. And so I was encouraged by the bank to put more of my focal point on that and less on fixing and flipping properties.
Oh,
Yeah, because fix and flip is the F word with banks. It's a speculative business. Now, you don't want to outright lie. If you can't comfortably say, and it's not true, don't say it. I'm not asking you to be misleading, but I am asking you to please open the dialogue with a local banker and just have an open discussion with them. Tell me a little about yourself. Oh, I own 14 houses. I do asset management, I do property management, whatever it is. And so asset management, property management, business management, consulting, advertising, all this stuff is way easier as far as industries to get funding with than if you're just a straight up flipper. So you should know that going into it.
And then let's say it's a business, an unsecured business line of credit. How long are these terms, I guess? Because if you want to, let's say a lot of investors are looking for down payment money for a rental property, a 30-year fixed 30-year loan. Let's say they're buying, they got to put up 20% for the down payment. Like, how long are these loans for then?
So these loans are term. The business line of credit does have a term to it. It's just very common that they renew it. So it could be a year, it could be 2 years. I've had some for 10 years or more. But you need to keep in touch with your point of contact at the bank so that they can look out for you as far as renewing it. If you tap out your business line of credit, you get 100K business line of credit and you use all 100K of it and you just make the minimum payment for 2 years in a row, then probably in the third year, they're going to be like, it's called terming you out. Like, all right, we're going to make because you didn't really need a line of credit. You needed a term loan. So then they're going to switch it so that you're paying down your principal. Alternatively, if you're using it and paying it off, which is what a working capital line of credit is supposed to be used for. Like if you use it for a real estate transaction and you sell the house in 6 to 12 months, pay off the debt and then jump back on, right? Don't just let the debt ride. If you do it that way, if you're paying it off at least once a year or every 2 years, you talk to your VP about how often that should be. Then they can easily renew it for you with little to no paperwork at all. But it is case by case. We can't predict the future. I can just tell you over the last 10 years, it's been very easy to and you're just paying the minimum payment, by the way. So you can pay higher than that, but I just wanted to mention a lot of these, like if you're just paying, you're paying usually interest only plus 1%. That's a generalization. So if you take 100K out, like say you take $50,000 out of your business line of credit, which is for 100K, but you only took 50K, you're only paying interest on the 50K, obviously, that you're using, but also the minimum payment's like pretty low. It's going to be, and you can use a calculator to figure out your exact number, but it's going to be like $500 because you're just paying the interest.
So I just want to clarify. Actually, we have someone in the chat. So let's say you do that. I draw from the line, I pay it back. Let's say it's a 2-year term. So if I pull 10 grand, pay it back, does it reset the term another 2 years?
No, it doesn't automatically reset the term, but it's showing responsible use so that it's easier if the 2 years is up and they want to renew you. Now they can see that you used it, paid it back.
And what happens if you never use it? Does that hurt you at all?
So I tell people, even if you have to buy a pack of gum every year, you should. But if you don't use it after like a year or two, then it'll probably go away. But that is all the more reason why you want to talk with that VP, that vice president of business lending, so they can warn you. I have the cell phone number of every bank in New Jersey that I work with. There's 200 banks that we interviewed in New Jersey, of which 20 were portfolio lenders, and we mentioned probably almost all of them on today's call. But then I have the cell phone number, the real cell, not the one they give you when you get the job. I want to know the real cell. I want to connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff. So I can hit them up and be like, hey, man, how are you? How's lending? Da, da, da. And they can easily tell me, you need to do such and such to keep your line of credit going, which again, is only a conversation you're having every 2 years.
Yeah, because I have one with Wells Fargo, and I don't remember the last time I pulled.
So if you haven't used it in a year, time to use it, and then get it off a month later, and then you should probably be good for renewal time.
All right, cool. I got to do that. So we do have someone here. He says it's the underwriter. The VP wants to get approved.
Yes. I agree with that. So sometimes you get a bad underwriter, someone that's hyper conservative. But what Steven just said, and I believe that's how you pronounce your name. But what he just said, or what they just said, is specifically that's very accurate. So the vice president does want to get you approved. I feel like that is makes them look good in the sense that their job is to work with small business owners and find good businesses to get approvals for. It also brings a deposit relationship to the bank. So if a VP is out there and they get you approved, like now I'm going to be using PNC way more because I have that, like you said, Wells Fargo, and now you have that line of credit with them. You're more likely to work with them. So yeah, that's 100% true. The VP is your advocate. The underwriter. So what happens is the VP is like a middleman between you and the underwriter at the bank. That's why you want that advocate. It doesn't mean they're a miracle worker, but it does mean that they can advocate for your approval or your reconsideration in case in case you don't get approved.
It's good stuff. Any other questions? Because I know, it's Friday, Good Friday, and it's actually a gorgeous day today. I can't believe it.
It is. It is, yeah.
So, anyways, all right. So I just want to say thank you, Joe. And I really appreciate you having on. This actually I learned so much. Oh, we have another one. I live in Connecticut. Can I apply for business credit at a New Jersey bank?
So Andre, great question. There's never, if you ask like someone that knows their craft very well, they never give you a simple answer, right? So there's two scenarios. If you live in Connecticut, can I apply for business credit in New Jersey bank? If the New Jersey bank has branches in Connecticut, yes, you can right away. It's quite easy. What if it's the other scenario? And this works whatever state you're in. Y'all might be watching from California and you want to go get some money from M&T Bank, which is only on the East Coast, right? So this can apply to a lot of scenarios. So Andre, what I would ask you is, do you have any roots in New Jersey? My family is from Massachusetts. I have owned property in Texas. My mom and dad have a place down in Florida. So and I am looking to invest in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So these are states, I live in New Jersey, but these are states where I have roots in other states in our country. So I could have a natural reason as to why I would file a foreign entity filing. So it costs you a few $100 to do that. You can ask your CPA or how to do that, or you can just go on the Secretary of State website and do it yourself. And now you have, now I have a subsidiary or satellite office in Connecticut or in New Jersey, which opens up the ability to get funding from local banks in that state. So that's the answer is yes.
Interesting. So you just have to have boots on the ground, or let them think the boots on the ground there.
You need to have boots on the ground, or what I call like a logical, some type of roots. So if you just jump into the bank and you're like, hey, man, I'm from Connecticut. I only opened up my LLC in New Jersey because I want funding from your bank. They're going to be like, oh, my God, I don't know about that. That doesn't smell right. But if you say, hey, listen, I'm looking to invest in New Jersey. Joe and Adam are amazing people. They buy a lot of property in like Newark and Essex County, Somerset, and da-da-da-da. And you have an actual genuine story as to why you opened a satellite office in New Jersey and you filed as a foreign entity filing, then the conversation with a New Jersey bank like PNC or Truist or whoever, foreign entity filing, that's the answer. The conversation will go a lot better. Plus, you probably feel a lot better about the conversation yourself.
Thank you for the questions. Anybody else have questions? These are great questions.
Really good question.
Yeah, I'm learning stuff here. I mean, I'm always learning. This is great to learn something new. But now you got me thinking. I got to pull from that line.
Just keep it alive.
Yeah, because it was a blessing I got it. I mean, it was years ago. They asked, I guess they gave me an offer. I took it. And it was actually, I remember it was really, really quick. No tax returns, nothing. They gave me $75,000. And I was like, wow, great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anybody else have questions? So I guess what else? If they want to sign up, you want to share that barcode again so they could just.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let me do that.
So if you guys want to sign up for his Get Funded Challenge,
yes,
it's $150, and you're going to get way more information that was here today. She actually give you the step by step of how to get your first business. Was it business credit card or the line of credit? Both, right?
Yeah, it'll be both because there are banks that that allow business lines of credit for newer entities, and every bank you could be brand new and get a business credit card. So if you're brand new, it'll be a little bit more heavily business credit cards than lines of credit. If you're more than 2 years old, a lot easier to get lines of credit. But I just told you guys a few minutes ago, banks like Truist. There's like 2 more banks, by the way, off the top of my head, I can tell you about that offer business lines of credit for startups. But the secret is not me just name dropping the bank for you, which is TD Bank, for example. They have a startup program. So it's not me just telling you that right now. It's I taught you the process of finding them, which is to search for the top SBA lenders in your community and the top local community banks and credit unions. There it is, in your community. Because once you know that process, you don't need me to name drop banks to you. Right? Because in a year from now, these bank programs are all going to change. Right? So either you buy our program, you stay connected with the community. That'd be great, right? Here's the QR code, or you can also go to tinyurl.com/BCW Adam. That's a little link that'll get you there as well, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. But I wanted to also share with you the technique of how did we find all these banks, so that as the lists change and as banks go in and out of business, which is normal, you know how to find them for yourself. And so, Andre, for example, you're in Connecticut, and we're talking about, like you mentioned, Truist and PNC, and they're not in your state. Yeah, the foreign entity filing is an avenue you can look at, but just apply the process of what I share with you in Connecticut. I have the whole bank list in Connecticut because I did this in all 50 states. So I went and networked with local community banks and credit unions in all 50 states. So we have the database of every bank and what the programs are, and that's what I taught you guys how to do yourself today.
Yes.
Yeah. So another good question. Do you want me to answer it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So projected income. So that's one of the things that is another common denominator why we like backyard banks is that they know if you just created your LLC a month ago that you don't have revenue most likely yet. And so there are banks that allow you to project revenue, which is so cool because in the personal credit world, you can't really do that, right? You can't really do that. But in the business world, you're expected to have a business plan. That you can have projected revenue on your business credit profile, and some banks do expect and require what your expectations are for the next 12 months and will lend you based on future expectations. That's magical. That's incredible. So small business lending in America is still a really good thing, but you want to move towards backyard banks because they make their own rules. They lend their own money, and they're harder to find. But just follow the process that we outlined for you, or jump on the Get Funded Challenge because obviously you get a list of those banks as well.
Oh, I could show the questions here. I didn't even realize that. I'm learning something new.
Oh, that's cool.
Anybody else have questions? I'll add you to the big screen. I didn't even know that. That's so cool. Anybody else? Last few questions. Think of them while we got Joe in the hot seat.
Yeah, ask away. Yeah. So that's kind of the whole process of it. If you guys want to keep in touch, go on this site, or you can scan the QR code.
Yes, so everybody, it's the QR code's here. Of course, you could always come back and scan it later on. Is there any other ways to get a hold of you, or?
Yeah, you could Google Business Credit Workshop or find us on Facebook. I mean, you and I are always on there, right? Yeah,
exactly. So if you guys want to get a loan from us, a fix and flip DSCR, we work with Joe. We have a partnership, and we, obviously this should be a plan that we set up in the beginning, so we could talk about your goals and then work with Joe to set up that business line of credit for future acquisitions. Because granted, you did mention that it could be less than a week, but that's assuming you're established. But the thing is, if maybe you have an entity and you have business credit cards, but you don't know how to get the line of credit. So it's good to plan in advance for your future acquisitions. And
Yeah.
then we'll show you how you can blend both monies. And again, this is a lot cheaper than going through a broker that's going to charge you 10% on that 100 grand you may get, and now you're short. Now you only got 90, and now you got to pay back that 10 grand, which is it's a big chunk.
Yeah, and then that guy's chasing you for 10 grand for months and months and months, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of dangerous stuff that happens in that type of business model. And so yeah, it's not just that we're cheaper, it's our information is better. A lot of the guys that created those companies are students of mine. I look them up and I could see, in 2010 they attended a business credit workshop of mine.
I don't mean to use the word cheap. It's more it's a better economically. It's just better. It doesn't make any sense to pay 10% when you could pay 150 and get this actually better results, because now you don't have to keep on going back to them and rely on them. Now you become self-sufficient. So you do it.
Yeah. That's why we share who our banks are on this webinar, right? So we're very education focused. It's why banks like us, and I have their cell phone numbers. Because if I was that other company, and there's a few others out there, and whatever, I don't have any hate, no shade being casted, but we're American business owners, right? So we can compare two different offers and make a decision on what's best for us. But if I was one of the other companies, the banks won't take my call. That's a problem, that they don't like brokers, because in our community, we have banks attend our calls. I have banks come to my office and do training. Who out there, what other business credit guru out there has local banks attend their coaching calls and things like that, right? So the reason for it is that we're transparent, we're upfront, we have a really good community. So I hope you guys can join. Hope you can join our community. Good to have you.
I want to join.
Right? Good question. Yeah.
We have Stephen is. So you're going to be up at. So there's another good point. Like, urgency. Are they going to be working on your behalf? Like, or are they just, not? How do you know if they're getting the job done? Right. Yeah. So that's a good. So this peace of mind, you're doing it on your own. And you have the guidance. Thank you, Steve. Or anybody else. So yeah, make sure you sign this up. This is something for me, I definitely want to do this because I know that this is a way to build wealth, and I know this is a way to scale up. And in order to scale up in business, you need debt. You need credit. Yep. Look at all the big corporations; they all have debt. All the big companies, the bonds, they get bank. They got bank loans. They got whatever. Like everybody, the whole world revolves around debt. And what Joe said regarding good debt and bad debt. You don't want to buy liabilities. You want to buy assets that can pay you cash flow. And that's the key. Or, the flips too, but that's an asset. You're buying something hard real estate, and, and this will cover the, let's say, like your down payment. It can cover your materials. Let's say, like, for example, you're flipping a house, and this is actually the point that it could take longer to get an unsecured business line of credit, but you can get approved right away for a business credit card.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't want to put materials on your personal credit card, because then you go above that 30%. Now you're whacking your credit. Business credit doesn't show up on your personal credit, and then let's say you're doing the BRRRR strategy, right?
Yes.
The worst thing you can do is to put it on your personal credit card, because now if your exit is to refinance, you may not even get approved for the loan, or your rates and leverage are going to suck, because now you should be at 750, but now you're at like a 650 and you can't even get approved.
Yeah. There's cards too you can get from like Home Depot, for example. And it's in the business name. They give pretty high credit limits. And one of the things which we'll talk more about offline, guys, is that you have more than one company. Many times you can get double the amount of credit. So like with Home Depot, I have $25K with one company, and then I have $25K with another company. So I have $50,000 that I could use for my construction draws. And Home Depot is pretty cool with how so it's a business credit card, doesn't show on my personal credit profile. You have to boost up your business credit score first, like we talked about, and then you can go get that. You can go get those Home Depot business credit cards. That helps as a real estate investor. We use that thing all the time. And then I got a card for my contractor. And then they do text message verification to make sure like you really approve or deny the purchase. But the point is, like, there's a lot of information I could share with you guys as the fact that I am a real estate investor. And if you want to continue the conversation afterwards, this is the way to do it. You know, so I didn't give out my cell phone number. I have thousands of clients and all of that, but I have a place where we can connect, and that's the Get Funded Challenge. And we use a really cool chat service too. So all of us chat in the chat room, and I would love to continue the dialogue there if you guys are down.
Yeah. So, anyways, I know we're taking a lot of your time. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us on Good Friday. This is lots of great gems. And if you need help, you can always contact me. Please like and write comments below and share this video. And thank you so much, Joseph. I really appreciate you. And until then, we'll see you next Friday, everyone.
All right, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.